In order to do something you've never done, you've got to become someone you've never been. When you're pursuing your greatness, you don't know what your limits are, so you act like you don't have any. And one of the reasons that Booker T. Washington said, judge a person not by what they accomplish, but what they had to overcome for their accomplishment. This Les Brown that you now see, I had no idea that he existed. I was born in an abandoned building on the floor. I'm adopted. When I was in 5th grade, I was labeled educable mentally retarded. I was put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade. I failed again and I was in the 8th grade. And given my environment and circumstances, I have no college training. The story I was born into and I embraced was that I was supposed to be poor. But it was not conscious, it was unconscious. How people live their lives is a result of the story they believe about themselves. In the 11th grade, Mr. Washington, he said to me, young man, go to the board and work this problem out for me. And I said, I can't do it. And he said, don't ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. He interrupted my vision of myself. And as a result of his example and the input, review, repetition, and reinforcement of that concept and how he held me in his eyes when he looked at me, I was able to die to who I was and depart from the story that I bought into. Even if you are told a lie, faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. You hear it often enough, it becomes your reality. Perception, not challenge, becomes real for you. And so there was no one to dispute what was said about me, and I bought it. He interrupted that vision of myself, and as a result of that, I began to become a different kind of person. I remember when Tony had an infomercial sponsored by Gunther Rinker, and they spent millions of dollars. And it was a blessing for me that they rejected me because I have the complexion of rejection. He has the complexion of connection. And so they said, oh, we don't believe a black guy can have appeal to the American public. I was so furious with that. Because of how I was rejected by Gunther Rinker and those guys, I said, I don't have millions of dollars, but I got a story. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to figure out how to transform audience. I'm going to figure out how to make myself stand out. I don't have the money to compete with them. I don't have the complexion of connection. I remember something that Robert Schuller said, there's never a shortage of opportunities. It's just a shortage of thinking. I said, wait a minute. Impact drives income and referrals. I'm going to focus on training and developing a method and technique to transform people's lives, individually and collectively, as Mr. Washington did for me. We all have an energy signature. There's certain people, when I speak, I'm going to reach them. There's some people that will hear both of us, but there are some people, because of your energy signature, that when you speak, they will hear you not just in their ears, they're going to hear you in their heart. And as a result of them being in your presence and under the influence of your voice, when they leave your presence, you will inspire them. I had a guy he texted me the other day. He said, I was in a very dark place and I heard your voice and it brought me out into the light. Yeah. When I spoke in the Georgia Dome, I went to the bathroom 7 times. They knocked on the door, Brownie. I said, what is it? Come out, man. Dexter Yeager, they're pausing now because it's time for you. And I made a mistake. I looked out at the audience and I panicked. I said, Mike, I don't hear the voices. I'm scared. He said, Brownie, they came to see you. You didn't come to see them. He said, come out. You will hear the voices. I said, I don't know, Mike. I've been trying. I just don't know. I'm scared. And he said, just be scared and do it anyhow. Don't speak. I said, I don't have to speak? He said, no. I said, then what will I do? He said, just tell a story. Tell a story of where you are, about what you're going through, and about the goal and dream for buying your mother a home. Because stories can be used to transform people's lives. Right? Yeah. Not just anchor the points, but it creates a significant emotional event. And that's how human behavior is transformed. We have emotional memory. A lady came from Australia for me to train her, and she's rather wealthy. And I said, why did you come to me? And she said, I saw you speaking on YouTube in the Georgia Dome, and you were speaking to 80,000 people. She said, wow, and you spoke from your heart, and you held my attention, and I can see you were holding their attention. And she said, can you train me to tell my story from my heart? And I said, yes. And so she started to tell me a story. And so we started working together. Then she stopped for a moment. I said, can you tell me why you want to do this? And she said, yes. She said, when I saw Dale and Ruth, the young white boy who went in a church and killed 9 black people, she said, I felt that there should have been someone standing to his right on trial, because he was not born with that hatred in him to kill 9 black people. Somebody poisoned his mind. She said, I believe the world is as it is, not because a few people are violent. I believe the world is as it is because too many people are silent. Nothing happens until it's communicated. In the beginning was the Word. And so my goal is to multiply the voices out here that will bring some words that can help us to get a different vision of ourselves. I believe that we can begin to decrease crime and the violence that's taking place all across this country, because evil prevails when good men and women do nothing.
There are people that you will never meet, whose lives that you've transformed, that you're living a life that will outlive you. Just think about the fact that this program has given a lot of people hope, and there's hope in the future. That gives you power in the present. Every 40 seconds, someone commits suicide. But because of something you say or some guest that you've invited, and as they share their story, you interrupt that story of being hopeless and powerless and not wanting to be here anymore. And because they took the time to watch, you create an experience. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. And so at the end of the program, at the end of one of your presentations, there are people who, because of you, their lives will be transformed, and they will become a pencil, as Mother Teresa would say, in the hand of God, and start writing a new chapter with their lives.